Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Friday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Give you a little hat knot. My name is Dave Scott. How are you all doing? As we get ready for R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Little Timmy James is in the studio tonight hanging out with us. Yeah, so we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some major fun tonight. Why? Because we're allowed. We're allowed. God damn it, we're allowed. So let's do it. All right, we got Race Fan in the gold medal position. Deidre with a silver, and her Birkenstock sharing that silver. Robert Lamoth with a bronze medal tonight. High Road Flare, Frankie B, Kitty Caddywhack. Ross Lambda is here. Ross Lambda will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Eternity Eternal, how you doing? And Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Mama Susan, Michael Morris, and who else is here? Mel WD-40 has showed up. Guess what he's doing? Lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. It's got to be smooth, people. You don't want any rigidness. Never feels very good. You know, it shouldn't feel like a fishtail, okay? Scaly fishtail. Shouldn't do that. No, nice and smooth. Thanks, Mel, for lubing us up to make sure we run a smooth, tight ship here. Jessica S. Forrest Louie, Millennium, my man. How you guys doing? Human Carl is here, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. We love you. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Oh, Scott B., what's happening? Richard Minnick. How you doing? Richard Minnick will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. He does not sign if you make eye contact. He's like, screw you guys. I'm Richard Minnick. Who the hell are you? Don't make eye contact with me. Hi, Paula Foss, Dead Fish, JSCO, Karen in the Woo Train. How y'all doing? The lovely Deanna and Giannis Roast. How you doing, my friend? Good to have you here. See how we are living. Good morning to you. Area 51, what's up? Forrest Louie, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you very, very much. Who else we got? W. David Page. What's happening, my man? And who else is here? Resonate. Nina Williams. What's happening? Scrolling on down. Kurt W75. Welcome to SOR Chat, my friend. And who's next? Michael Fontaine. Then Blue Cruz. How you doing, my man? Scrolling on down. Down. Poor Tim's having a heart attack in here. Literally. Adarius 7. How you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat again. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We very much appreciate you tuning us on in for a great show tonight with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. So make sure you guys get your questions ready. Put them in capital letters so that way we can get them to Keith if you're listening in on the YouTube, Twitch, and X side. We're continuing on with our roll call here. Purple-haired Pixie Lara. She's flat ironing tonight for the show, making sure that purple hair is straight as an arrow. We got 30 seconds. Mel WD40 lubing us up with a nice super chat tonight. Thank you, Mel, for that very well lubed up. Mama Catherine. Mwah! I love you, my dear. Hope you're doing well. Digger Dog, how you doing, my friend? And, okay, we're caught up. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And on that note, do me a favor. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of fun for you tonight. It's R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection coming up here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, we have Swamp Dweller with another spooky story. Follow that up by Tim James, bringing us the latest in the UFO news. It is that time of the month where we say hello to our good friend, R Keith Andrews, a regular around here for the ET Connection. Keith is a lifelong ET contactee who now helps counsel those who literally have their own experiences and want to know what is going on. From abductions to contact to UFO sightings and everything weird in between, Keith has experienced it all. He's not a ufologist. He doesn't follow what's going on in the UFO world, and frankly, he couldn't care. It's not his forte. His job is to help people, which is why we have him here each and every month. R. Keith Andrews, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. Your sideburns are looking great. Thanks for coming on in.
No problem, Dave. Glad to be here again. And I'm absolutely stunned by the amount of people that actually come in here.
Well, you take Steve Franchise in our chat room saying never going to miss an R. Keith episode. Our audience loves you, my friend.
Well, much as I appreciate that, that does not make it that much easier to wrap my brain around. But that's okay. I appreciate it.
You are way too humble sometimes. Way too humble. And I always appreciate you. And, you know, I got to see you last month when I came down to Kelowna to hang out. We went out for a nice steak dinner and had a lot of fun chatting some UFOs and everything like that. What have you been up to since?
Since then, figuring out where finances are, finding out some rather intriguing information regarding some of the races I've been tracking and dealing with. And finally got a handle on what's going on as far as my brother's estate goes. Just the normal run-of-the-mill annoyances.
Keith, what makes you you? What makes you love this subject? What makes you tick when it comes to all of this contact and information that you provide?
Well, if we have to go to what makes me me, we'd have to go back into a very, very simplistic yet complicated conversation regarding theoretical genetics. I don't think you want to go there.
Not
As
really.
far as the subject goes, well, frankly, there is way too much of what I see, and I know this ticks off some people, which is probably why I don't get along with some of them. But I see a lot of misinformation being handed out, and worse, fear mongering, even in this field. So I just don't bother following the field itself.
You shy away from today's modern ufology. You shied away from old ufology. You're somebody who beats to your own drummer when it comes to this. You don't read a lot of books. You have no prerequisites for what others are doing with their information. Everything that you have learned and garnered over time has been from firsthand knowledge. Why do you go down that road rather than the road of seeking answers through research?
Well, let me ask you this. If the answers you're being handed are inconsistent with what you're seeing, why would you follow the answers you're being handed? I mean, ultimately, take a look at lemmings. They all run in the same direction, and 90% of them run right off the cliff. I don't see the point in going that road. Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. When we talk about what I call traditional research, what people are doing is reading over what somebody else found out and handing that same information out. The number of times that I've been corroborated in what I've been telling people, I question whether I lost my mind altogether. But I keep running into people that'll say that's not what I'm seeing. What you're being told doesn't add up. Like even the Roswell crash, I ran into the granddaughter of one of the people that was first on the site that corroborated what I told them. And they said, but it's never been published. I said, no, but that doesn't mean I don't remember it. Yeah, but she did corroborate the layout as far as her grandfather had set it up as being what I told her, which just floored everybody around us. But I can't keep track of the number of people. Like there's so many big names. I recognize the names on occasion, but I've never looked into any of them.
Do you do that because it doesn't taint what you're learning from the knowledge you get from your experiences and the contact that you've had?
It really wasn't a conscious thought. It was more an issue of I don't have the patience to sit and listen to somebody ramble on for 3 hours where they seem to go around in circles reiterating stuff that I know is incorrect. Some of it is pure logic. The number of people that I've listened to that have said, "Oh, we got to prepare for an alien invasion." I'm like, guys, if they were going to do it, number one, I already have talked to them, found out how they would do it, and mankind wouldn't even know we were under attack until it was well over. And I love science fiction movies that show the attacks and what have you. But for me, they're entertainment. For many people, they take them as gospel, it seems. Prime example, take a look at V, the series from back 78 to 70, 77 to 82. How many people are still going, reptilians as one race are infiltrating upper level government, upper level monarchies, and running companies? I've got firsthand knowledge of at least a dozen different reptilian races, and they are not all, shall we say, congenial with each other.
I personally believe that, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I personally believe that the alien species that have been here for millennia, if they wanted to take us over, they would have taken us over when our greatest weapons on this planet were a bow and arrow and a spear.
Oh, yeah. If they waited that long. But I absolutely concur with you there. There are races that have been on this planet longer than man. That if they really wanted to take the planet over, it wouldn't take much. And that's just thinking in terms of the, of what we call conventional weaponry. In human terms, it would be medieval weaponry.
I get that. So what do the aliens think of all this threat narrative and that, they want to come take us over, like is being spewed all over social media?
Well, they look at it, some of them look at it as comedy relief. Right. There are those that are very up in arms, and if it weren't for their own guideline, their own governments, they'd have already taken mankind out, at least a city or two, just to say, okay, you want to say we're going to attack, here's what happens. Now, I mean, you got to remember, let's just take a look at some of the races. You take a look at humans. Now, a normal human, most people know of, people like Wilt Chamberlain, 7'2", I think he was, or something to that effect. People with somebody like Wilt Chamberlain, he's a little dark skinned and he's 7 foot plus. He walks by somebody that's only 5.5 feet tall, they're going to be somewhat intimidated. You take a look at Big Show out of the WWE. The man is massive, but these guys are only 7 feet tall. You take a Strazazian, looks like, and they're reptilian, 7.5 to 8.5 feet tall. They grow their own armor. I've watched them dislocate somebody's shoulder by accident. Right? We are not talking about small people. And when they will eat you while you're walking, if they're in that kind of a mood, fortunately, they don't do that on Earth very much. But, people go, I really want to see an alien. I want to see one of these guys. And it's like I was talking to a nurse in the ER. So many guys will go, I want to see my kid being born. They'll be behind the shield. And they stand up, they look at just that little bit of blood, and they pass out. People that go, I really want to have an alien encounter. I've heard them go, I want to have an alien encounter. I don't care with who. One went so far as to tell me they wanted to chase an Alarian into its den uninvited. Now, in human terms, an Alarian would be qualified as a werewolf. Now, does this make any sense at all to go wandering in there?
Not really, no. No. I can see where people would be quite intimidated. In fact, I could say I would be intimidated.
I probably should be, but okay, as I told somebody one day, once the paranormal becomes so frequent, it's normal. You no longer look at it as paranormality.
So weird sometimes. Keith, as per usual, the questions are starting to build up from our great audience at our YouTube channel. And if you ever want to participate with Keith in this, all you have to do is come into our YouTube channel when Keith is on, and you can ask questions right there. Let's get right to the audience questions here, Keith. Let's start off with Shiny here. Do you think the aliens predict that there will be a civil war in America after the election?
Honestly, they don't predict. However, if they have sat back and gone, well, they're either going to pull their head together and realize that a civil war is not in anybody's best interest, or they're going to put themselves back behind the third world countries. Yeah, but the funny part about it is when you look at the different aliens and you look at their view on war, as far as they're concerned, humans have no clue how to have a war. You guys have a kindergarten, you've got a sandbox swabble. I mean, you got to remember, they don't have rules aside from wipe everybody out and win.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. I really don't. Civility will always prevail. It's the way I look at it. Joe is asking, what do you know about the genetic component to ETs?
Which one? I mean, I've got over 120 documented. So we are looking at a little bit of a problem here. You know, the reality of it is some of them are not carbon-based. Some are copper-based. Right? Some don't even have a corporeal form. I mean, you take a look at the Korlock. They're full-blown metamorphs. So their genetics are really entertaining. Then you look at the Ilarian, and they literally bear, the hybrids bear an unfortunate virus with them. The True Bloods don't. Same as the Sanguinan. You know, so I mean, we are talking about genetics that are very different, very twisted. Many of the races referred to as reptilian are not, by Terran definition, reptilian. We call them reptilian because they look like Terran reptiles. You know, that ultimately, a lot of the human classification, or, if you will, Solarians, which is what most of the off-worlders refer to humans as, is we happen to be Solarians. And most of the aliens by humans are qualified by their appearance, not by their genetics. Because to be frank, humans don't have they haven't reached the point where their technology is capable of analyzing the alien genetics properly. Humans have only just started looking at the triple helix, and they are so far from understanding what it really means that, you know, what humans are learning in the way of genetics and classification at this point amounts to what a kindergartner knows in the way of quantum physics. Which hopefully makes that a little more clear than mud.
Do you think with the genetics, though, are there a lot of ET species that we call ET, but seem to have the same genetics as humans?
A lot of? No. But there are some. Okay. The Mobians are absolutely, they're a dead ringer for humans because, well, frankly, they were human. They evolved on Earth and then they colonized Mobius. But they did that 50,000 years ago. You know, when you take a look at the Gedefni, what you know is the Nords, they are very similar in configuration, except they only have a double helix. Humans have a triple, which is the thing that's got the modern geneticists up in arms. But there's only a handful that really have the same kind of backline.
Right. Well, my next question for you would be this. What do you think when we finally take a rocket to Mars? What do you think is going to happen?
You should have asked me that back in the 70s. But
I was only born in the 70s and could barely talk.
I realized that. I was referring to the fact we've been going to Mars for years. No, the government's going to argue the point and say, no, we haven't, but that's okay. Problem is, there isn't any life on the surface of Mars to speak of. Their entire civilization is underground. Has been for centuries. Well, in all fairness, has been for millennia.
How long have we been going to Mars?
Since the late 70s, really early 80s.
And how are we getting there?
Oh, that's the nice thing about the space race. They've actually done it. Now, granted, back in the 70s, they were only sending out rovers and that sort of thing. Okay, but they have, because of connections they've got, humans have made it to Mars. They're not set up there as in coming and going. It's not like you can drive there for on a weekend. But they do have an entire research station set up in Mars. To be frank, they've got them set up further than that. What humans are being told by the governments is that, number one, we haven't been going to the moon, which, that's a cute thought. I like it. But they're telling us that we don't have the technology. What I found out about 5-6 years ago, maybe a little longer, is mankind is currently developing the technology and doing the calculations to pull an asteroid into orbit around the moon in order to build a plant to actually build starships, as in interstellar capable. They've already got interplanetary capable. Like I said, I mentioned something a while ago we call the OTE drive. Okay, standing for the oscillodensification of tritransspatial equipolarity. Okay, there is so much that mankind is not telling you, and so much more that they don't know. That the governments just haven't pieced together. And of course, then the question comes up, how am I so certain of this? I've seen it happening.
I was going to ask you next.
No, I don't have connections with the government. Not any more than I absolutely have to. But I did find it funny when the CIA showed up on my doorstep asking the same questions you're asking.
Well, that's what I do. But there's a lot of people who sit there and say, Keith, how do you know? How could we not project, or the public wouldn't know that they've gone to the moon or to Mars?
I've been asking myself that question for decades. Let's face it, I'm 60. I've got a few decades I can claim. Well, I'm 61, but the only way I can put it is people don't want. See, if you take a look at the way our society is built, okay, now we're taught, if you look through the spiritual teachings and what have you, that we're all there is. But that's not what it says in the books. But that is what's being reiterated, is that mankind is the top of the totem pole. Mankind is far from the top of the totem pole. But people on the whole are happy with a life they understand. They may not be happy with their current life. But
hold that thought, because we do have to go to break here. I apologize for cutting you off there, but we do got to get going here as our radio show goes into our first break of the night. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. All right, Keith, we're clear.
Hey, how are we?
Sorry, itchy ear. There we go.
Well, look at the bright side. It's an itchy ear, not an itchy nose.
All right. Let's start off with hi, Spiraling. How you doing? Good to see you. Who else has jumped in here? Gregory, how are you? True that. Welcome to SOR chat. This guy sucks and this show sucks. Yeah. Don't have to be here, you idiot. Just gonna say that. You're the moron listening. Thanks for the click. Yeah.
Well, that was subtle.
Oh. You know, imagine spending a Friday night in your house alone, flipping around YouTube. You come across our show, and you're lonely and one-handed enough to make an idiotic, moronic comment like that to try and hurt someone's feelings. That is the epitome of someone being either A, really drunk, B, really lonely, or C, just an asshole, or a combination of all three. So, yeah, I'm not putting, you know what? I used to put up with crap like that, try and win people over. But I just don't care anymore. I really don't care. I've had enough. Warden Dragon, how you doing? The Andromedan, what's happening? Like, I'm not even going to block the guy. No. Country Carpenter, what's happening? Hey, Tim. What? I'm 51 years old and you suck. And your show sucks too.
Hey, quit. You're hurting my feelings.
Stop it. Like, dude, I'm 51 years old. If it's a Friday night and I wasn't working, you know where I would be right now? I would be out in the bush, or I'd be at the bar, or I'd be doing something productive with my life rather than wanting to be an internet troll. Do you know how much cheesy poof orange you have to have on your t-shirt to be that guy right now? Honestly. Kevin Kennedy, how are you? Like what kind of, honestly, what kind of scumbag do you have to be in order to be that guy?
Dave, I just look at it going, he apparently missed the first part when I said I question what I'm doing.
Oh, no, I'll get to it all, but I'm not done with this prick yet.
No, I didn't say you. I said him.
Algaray over on Twitch, he's late for the show because he had a shower. You know why? He worked up a sweat. Yep. Leg pressed 1,500 pounds 102 times in the last hour. 1,500 pounds. New world record. Yeah, my legs are sore just thinking of it. Hey, Tim, you suck. No. You suck and your show sucks too.
I know you do.
Major Lee, good morning. Earth Goat Trees. I always say Earth Goat Tress. How are you? I don't care. I don't. I have so little fucks to give anymore, honestly. Thank you tonight to Louie, Mel, and Richard for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love. Here we go, everybody. In like 5 seconds. Oh, maybe I lied. Like 20 seconds. Hey, Tim,
What?
this show sucks.
You suck.
You suck.
You suck.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go now.
He swore.
Here we go in the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning in and taking in our great, wonderful world of blue. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection will continue right after this. Want to remind everybody that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here comes R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection, where Keith takes your questions on all things extraterrestrial, supernatural, strange, weird, and he is the conductor of the Woo train. What's happening, Keith? Good to have you here.
Oh, thanks being here. Every once in a while, the chat room fills up with, shall we say, an incredible and an intriguing concept of intelligence.
Oh, we got a good crowd tonight.
Oh,
and that's the beauty.
90% people in here are phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of listening to our show live. Like, if you're not listening in on the radio side of things, but coming into the YouTube chat and actually chatting with our hundreds of guests that are in here that are just having a blast doing it, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it for anybody out in Radio Land to check it on out. But, Keith, we're getting into some audience questions here. We absolutely are having a blast tonight, so let's get right to it. And a question from Kurt right off the bat here. Do you think the main variable humans don't understand is time? Like, if you move faster to the speed of light, you age slower.
That's not the main problem, but it is one of those misconceptions. And that's brought about by something that Einstein couldn't get across to scientists in the first place. But most people don't think in terms of people moving at the speed of light. The bigger problem is mankind is limited in what it thinks is intelligence. There were two things I learned when I was growing up. One was to know I know just enough to know I don't know enough. And two was to realize that the more I know, the less I know. Both of those make total sense to me, but many people won't get it. But
okay.
That's the biggest problem is.
All right. Let us go to our next question from Deidre. Never sure if it's her or hippie Birkenstocks that are asking the question. Yes, our resident Peppermint Patty is asking, Keith, what are your thoughts on mitochondrial DNA research, alluding to that there are no humans, we are all hybrid?
Well, I think my first question would be, whoever's doing this, would you like a shovel or a backhoe? That's the polite way to put it. But the human race is a human race. There are hybrids here, but the human race, number one, is human through and through. Certainly, there are things that humans don't understand. And when they're looking into the DNA mitochondrial connection, what they're missing is the subquantum variations, which are present in every life form. But even the scientists don't know what they're actually looking at yet. And that's nothing against earth science, by the way.
All right. Well, let's get to our next question here. This one coming up from, let's take a peek here. It's from Millennium. Have you ever visited Jupiter's moon, Io? If so, what was your experience like?
Number one, the answer is yes. Short answer is because we're dealing with humans, it is in an enclosed containment. It's in a complex because you're not living on Io. Not on the surface. But when you get over there, there's a lot of different people. Some of the people that are over there are some really, really neat humans over there. Okay, with some brilliant ideas of what they're up to. But all in all, I found it pretty much the same as being on a military base here in Canada, excluding the fact that it's all indoors there.
How can you even stand on Saturn when it's all gas?
Oh, nobody said they were standing. I said they were in a station.
Did he say salmon?
No.
Did you say salmon? They got salmon on Saturn?
Probably if they imported.
Well, I know you like to eat salmon, so Saturn would be a great place for you.
Saturn is an interesting planet. Also occupied, by the way. The concept. Try that again.
Who occupies them?
Well, you're going to love this. But they literally, most people refer to them as Saturn aliens. Very highly telepathic, extremely creative. And certainly their primary focus is on communication levels at a much lower frequency, or more to the point, a much more refined frequency than what humans work with.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Millennium. Good Ontario kid, nice hockey mullet. Have you ever visited? Oh, I already asked that one for Millennium. Sorry. It was the mullet. It caught me off guard there. All right, let's go to Keith or Kurt. Keith, have you ever heard of the purple, or does purple have any significance?
Unfortunately, Kurt, that is very much an ambiguous question. I'm not quite certain what you're referring to.
Me either. Let's go to Daniela. Keith, do you think gray aliens are us from the future?
Absolutely 0% chance. And there is not very often I'll do that. You cannot travel back in time, first of all. Second of all, humans are humans. The gray aliens are the reticulans. They come from over in the reticulan star system, specifically Reticula 3. But no, they are absolutely not from the future.
There's a lot of people who will say that the grays are time traveling here or opening up from different dimensions and coming here.
I won't argue that there's people saying that. But I'm certainly not going to back it up. First of all, when we deal with them traveling back in time, doesn't happen. You can move forward in time, but you cannot move backward. You can look backward in time to see what's happened, but you can't affect it. As far as the other dimensions go, and I'm laying odds that this is a problem with terminology. Different races, different species move at different vibratory rates on Earth. And thereby, if they slow their vibratory rate down, they'll drop into our current vibration. They pick it up again, they're going to vanish. It's going to look like they stepped into another dimension. But they're still three-dimensional. A fourth-dimensional object cannot survive in third-dimensional space any more than a third-dimensional object can survive in two-dimensional space. And yeah, I know that goes against virtually everything the lead scientists are saying. But I can live with it.
All right, let's go back to Kurt. What race survived the impact on Earth that sent us to the Stone Age? Or was Earth and Mars really both moons to a bigger home planet?
Number one, Earth and Mars are separate moons. quite seriously built by separate people, but there were a number of races that survived that impact. Okay. I'm just reading the question again. Says to the Stone Age. Oh, number one, the impact that wiped out the dinosaurs didn't push us back to the Stone Age. It just wiped out a staggering number of people. And yes, there were humans that were on Earth at the same time as the dinosaurs were here, albeit right near the end of the dinosaur age. But we haven't been pushed back to the Stone Age yet. Mankind keeps going down its current path, you might be.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Steve R. Keith. Lou Elizondo speaks of green orbs that he and his family witnessed in their home. Have you seen them, and do you know where they come from?
Could be a number of things, on races. You could be looking at Verosic, okay, which are an alien orb-appearing race. You could be looking at the Talon, I believe it's the Talon, they run technological orbs. The Zertics can shift colors, so they could have dropped in. I don't know exactly because I didn't see the issue around Lou Elizondo. I didn't see the thing he was talking about, but those are just a couple of the races that could appear. And of course, in the proper lighting, a Eumion may well appear as a green orb if you look at it head on.
What are orbs in general?
In general, life forms. Most of the orbs you see are either the Verosic or the Zertics. Those are the most common ones that you see on Earth. But they are literally a light-based form, a light-based life form.
But is there more to it though, Keith? Because I know when we go to our Sasquatch site, we'll often see orbs there, whether they're white, orange, red, blue, yellow. We've seen all sorts of colors there.
Oh yeah, but you got to remember, the Verosic come in multiple color forms because their color tells you what their specialty is. Now, I don't have the information at the tip of my fingers, but I've got it written down in my paperwork. And of course, finding it on the computer is always fun.
Well, you're a computer kind of guy.
Oh yeah, just tell my computer that.
Keith, there are many people who've talked recently about orbs, saying that they believe that orbs can be malevolent at times.
Well, certainly they can. Especially if you take a look at what we call the will-o'-the-wisp. Okay, the will-o'-the-wisp will kill people quite readily, but that's because they have to eat, just like people have to eat cattle. But a will-o'-the-wisp, and I don't have their actual name right off the top of my head, but they look at humans as a food source. But given they got here before humans, nobody's chasing them off.
So what do you think?
With some what you would call orbs, some are volatile, absolutely. But you got to realize this is a minority group. Okay, we are not talking about some sort of race getting ready to go to war and wipe out mankind.
All right, next question comes from Shiny. Keith, do you think we should go out into the woods and look for werewolves like Jessica Jones does? Do they all hate humans?
Number one, I don't go out in the woods for a lot of reasons, usually because I get lost. So if you want to go out in the woods, be my guest. As far as do they all hate humans? Absolutely not. I mean, I could go the facetious way, but no. Some of the Ilarians actually like humans, but they don't trust the human reaction. Because oddly enough, way too many humans see something that looks a little different and go, oh, Let's shoot it and then find out if it likes us or if it's friendly. Unfortunately, humans are, well, they were built for war, so that makes sense. But the Alarium, which is what you would know as a werewolf, do not all hate humans, and they certainly don't all hunt them.
I hunt dogman.
That's okay. You're allowed.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continues here. Let's go to Chris. Keith, what are the aliens in the movie Fire in the Sky? Are they grays?
You got two stats. Number one, they're grays, what I refer to as reticulans. Number two, they had the reticulans, the reticulan D, and some Gaddaphne. Although I don't think in Fire in the Sky they showed the Gaddaphne. Gaddaphne are what you would know as Nords. But yeah, they were the ones shown in Fire in the Sky. Those were your reticulans. But you got to remember, reticulans on the whole are scientists, especially the Zeta. The Zeta reticulans are pure scientists for the most part. But yes, as you can well imagine, most are just science. That's all they're about. Some are about making a buck. They'll sell the information they can to whoever they can get a hold of. And there's another small sector that is literally there, and they're only interested in the welfare of individual humans, much like some humans work for Greenpeace.
All right, let's move on to the next question here. Let us go to Blue Cruise. Are there human-looking, living androids with artificial skins and hair walking humankind in order to keep us humans with the souls in line with whatever instructions that they are given by the aliens or ETs?
And this is one of the reasons I don't follow the ufology track. Okay, I have no doubt there are some androids that are built that look similar to humans. Okay, however, are they there to keep humans with souls in line? No. The fact of the matter is humans are not being controlled by anybody and or anything. Humans were given free will and free choice. What they weren't given was freedom from consequence.
All right, moving on. Let's go to Jeff Steve Garvey. R. Keith, what is your position on people doing CE5 protocols?
Well, it's kind of like my position on people playing around with nitroglycerin without an education. It's entertaining to watch, but not necessarily the brightest move. See, understand something. Trying to get a human trying to get a congenial off-world's attention is kind of like a tiger trying to get not a tiger, probably something more like a wombat or a muskrat trying to get a human's attention and hoping that it's going to get treated well. You're talking about, according to most off-worlders, you're talking about very backwoods individuals that don't understand what they're up to. The fact of the matter is, if you're using a laser pointer, as in one of those handheld things that so many people sell and so many more buy with the idea it'll get their attention, it's wonderful. But here's the kicker. It's not the light that they're picking up on. It's the brainwaves and the intention. I mean, you think about it. If you've got a handheld laser pointer that can be seen in orbit, what's it going to do to the ground in front of you if you click it on?
Right. Okay, Keith, let us move on here. Actually, before we do, I just want to say, I mean, there's a lot of people who want to have that contact, though. There's a
I
lot of
don't argue that point. I don't necessarily recommend it. Because you got to remember, what a CE5 does is it says, hey, I desire to have an alien interaction. I want to make contact with an off-worlder. It doesn't specify what that off-worlder is. Now, it's great if you get the attention of a true Zeta Reticulan scientist. Okay, because they're just as likely to talk to you as they are to put you on a table. But if you get a hold of a Tormenon, they're going to tell you. You're just not coming back. Okay, worse, you get a hold of a Talon, they'll break your limbs just to find out what kind of tension it takes for it to happen. So, it's not a wise idea. And yet there are thousands of people doing it. Of course, in all fairness, there are thousands of lemmings running off the edge of a cliff every 4 years. Doesn't make it a bright idea.
All right, let's move on. We got about 3 minutes here. Mel WD40 is asking, triple helix, is that human hybrid?
Absolutely not. It's simply a further understanding of human genetics. The triple helix has always been there. You undoubtedly, there, Melvin, you undoubtedly have heard of the double helix. Well, picture the double helix with an extra bar behind it and the associated ladder work. Okay, double helix essentially looks like a ladder that's been corkscrewed. Okay, a triple helix, take a speaker box, the triangular type that have a base on them, kind of formed that way, and then corkscrew it. But the triple helix has always been there. Modern technology just wasn't high enough. It wasn't refined enough to see it.
I think we can sneak one more in here. The Doug Shelby is asking, R Keith, speaking of orbs, I'm thinking some are spirits and some are alien drones. Do you agree? Any thoughts?
Absolutely. Most spirits, and if you ever go to a gravesite, it's wonderful to watch. Gravesites are a lot of things, but dead ain't one of them. Before souls figure out how to remanifest in a physical form, like in a bipedal appearance, they come out as simply an orb. Okay. The other issue around the drones, many of the off-worlders have developed drones that are round because they are aerodynamically superior. They are far more maneuverable than any other form.
Okay, so with that being said, how do we move it forward? How do we, try and expand that a little bit?
How do you try and expand understanding which orb is which?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing you got to figure out, you got to realize if you're going to communicate with them, don't try talking. They work on light density emanations, which means you've got to be a little bit more focused on light wave therapy or light wave manipulation. Now,
and on that's a good place for us to stop because we do have to go to break here at the top of the hour. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continues on Spaced Out Radio. And when we return, we will take more audience questions. Why? Because that's what we do with Keith. We go and hang out. We take him for a fun ride on the Woo Train, talking all things extraterrestrial and supernatural. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We're having a lot of fun tonight. Stick with us.
is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Keith, we are clear.
Okie doke.
So let's see where we are here. Fast Hemi, how you doing? Good to see you. And we're caught up. Keith, I'm going to put you back in the green room. We'll be right back, okay?
Okie doke.
I'm excited about that scope, dude. Yeah, no doubt. All right. I am back. And Keith, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad. How about you?
Good, buddy. By the way, I wish I could show you guys, but the bruise on my leg is literally this big.
Ow. What the hell did you do?
I pulled my left groin muscle really, really bad, and it sucks.
Yeah, trying to walk with that is going to be painful to say the least.
Oh yeah, still going hunting this weekend. Still going hunting.
What are you going after?
Some chickens for sure.
Why don't you just go to the farm to get the chickens? Or you got wild chickens up there?
Yeah. Thank you to Louie with a hat trick, Gregory, Steve, Mel, and Richard for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Let's get her going. Here comes hour number 2 of the ET Connection on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Love talking aliens with R Keith Andrews, and we'll bring Keith back here momentarily. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ambidextrous. Ambidextrous is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continues on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Keith, it's always good to have you here. Thank you for joining us once again.
Oh, thanks for having me. I love the interaction here. This works, for me, this works way better than just trying to talk.
Oh, yeah. Well, the audience comes up with good questions. And we're going to start off with Millennium here, who is asking, Keith, what can you tell us about the former planet that is now the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter?
I could be facetious going broke. But ultimately, it was originally a moon. The unfortunate part is it got caught in the gravitational swell. It was when you actually pull the thing apart, it was the housing of a power plant for them. Unfortunately, the forces got way too big. Essentially, you'd call it an industrial accident.
It just went boom. Plain and simple.
Ultimately, it went bang.
Bang or boom?
Well, technically, it went bang. It was a collision. And after the collision, it fractured the rest and then it went boom. But the bang was the problem.
Yeah, I hate it when you bang too hard like that. All
Now,
right,
you can
moving
leave that
on.
alone.
Let us say, let's see, that's a repeat question. Let's go to Andromeda. Keith, have you met humans outside planet Earth, and what are their thoughts on humans on planet Earth?
Well, the majority are simply from a scientific standpoint, which simply means they're focused on what they're finding out there. The short answer is yes, I've run into them. Okay. The majority are just on a scientific run. You don't get a lot of sightseers out there. But the few sightseers you do get out there do tend to look at it from the standpoint of, here's a site we're never going to, that the majority of people will never see. But then the majority of people don't feel they'll ever be able to see it.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to Shiny. Keith, do you know if there has ever been a human-alien hybrid in this chat room, and are you going to say the names? Ooh.
Well, the short answer is yes, more than one. The other short answer is not a snowball's prayer. There is no way that I would reveal that. It's just like I would never tell somebody, what anybody else's profession is unless it was directly requested. But what people have done in their lives or who they are, if they want you to know, knowing what goes on in my labs, what would prompt me to bother to even consider giving that kind of information out, since we know, and I will call it no. This room, like virtually every other chat room in the world, is being monitored. And let's face it, we've got an active hybrid here. The last thing they want any government or secret society to know is who and where they are. Never mind their protection, but the protection of anybody that knows them.
Well, their secret is safe with R Keith. Let's just be honest. The secret is safe. Let us go to Luna. Watson, Crick Franklin, DNA mapping scientists. One of them thought some unhuman and alien was responsible for DNA creation due to its complexity. No?
Well, given that the mankind was put together was built by a race that wasn't human, we can say yes, it was something unhuman that was responsible for it. However, if you are referring to, is this some sort of a petri dish? No. Earth was literally built so that spirits could experience the corporeal life with limited senses. Net result, you've got 6. Now, granted, the 6th one is a catch-all for a lot of different senses.
All right. Moving on to our next question. Andromeda wants to know, what are blue orbs? I sometimes see them.
You are likely looking at Rosic, which is another light-based race. Could be Thursix, or it's possible that you're looking at Talon. Nope, my apologies. And that was a mistake. Not Talon, the Zeron. Quite frankly, the Zeron are a little race, look kind of like geckos, and so they are reptilian, but their ships are orbs, but they're designed to be extremely reflective and can change color at the flick of a button.
I heard that blue orbs, according to some who are on the disclosure movement, are the dangerous ones, that they could be a little evil.
As with any race, any species, taking a look at one color and going, those are the evil ones, is a really bad idea. I won't argue some of the blue ones could be a little problematic, but I've seen ones that are colored white that'll turn somebody inside out just because. Now, I'm thinking that's not exactly the most congenial response.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I do not know. Keith, let's move on. Let's go to Algaray over on Twitch. If R Keith says you can't go back in time, does that mean all of those 20 and back super soldier stories are untrue?
In my opinion, yeah. I don't know how I can elaborate on that. I know what stories you're referring to, but no, in my opinion, considering the fact that it has been proven to my eyes beyond a shadow of a doubt, you can move forward in time, but nobody can move back. Okay. This is why I say those wonderful stories are great for making stories up. They're great for giving people, I don't know if it's hope for the future, considering we're talking about bringing soldiers back. But if they're coming back from the future, why do they still have the same limitations that people from today have?
I don't know.
These
You'd
are
have
just time, but it boils down to the time stream. Time only goes one direction, because the fact of the matter is, from my experience, is the future is not written. So as it gets written, that's when you can see the future. Okay. Before it gets here, though, before the future gets to the present, the future is extrapolation. The past is written in concrete. You do not change it. And the only way to go back would be to disassemble all of reality back to that point. Somehow I can see this being a problem.
It could very well be. Could very well be. All right, let's go to another question here. This one from Luna. Why do a ton of films depict black goo oozing out of the body, eyes, etc., when the virus or disease infects you? Zombie films tend to have it. Why black goo to represent this alien takeover of the body?
Because it looks freaky. It's pretty much the best way to look at it. Mind you, if you take a really neat weapon that the Tormenon built, I believe the Tormenon built, they certainly use it, something called the coagulator. It will literally clot every blood cell you've got and turn them black. And of course, once you rupture all the surface capillaries, it'll leak out. But on the whole, movies do it because it looks freaky.
I think that one's pretty much said and done. Let's go back to Luna. Doesn't the triple helix add up to 666 in some way numerically?
You can make just about everything add up to 666. But the really funny part is 666 isn't the number you worry about. And I can't tell you the passage. And I'm only a third of the way through reading it, so that's going to take a while. But the number is 666 inverted, not 666 itself. I cannot tell you where it says that in the Bible. And given the number of times the Bible's been rewritten, the odds of you finding it aren't great either.
Well, that makes it understandable. Let's go to the next one. Stevie, follow up on your CE5 response. If you attract them with good intentions, what are the odds of a malevolent encounter? Breaking limbs?
Oh, I only know of one race that actually breaks limbs for the heck of it. But let me ask you this. Your odds aren't great, because here's the kicker. You can have the best name, pick the worst place that you know of on Earth. Okay, with the most volatile cartels or whatever it is you consider bad people. Go into that area with really good intentions and try and make contact and see how well that works. The fact of the matter is, the moment you open yourself up to a CE5, you're calling everybody, regardless of your intention. It's their intentions you have to worry about.
You never know what you're calling in. Simple. That's what you're saying.
Correct. And that said, even with the Talon, I have met some that are genuinely decent individuals. We are talking the gross over assessment of an entire species, right? But they are naturally combative.
All right, let's go to Kurt. What's up with the Black Pyramid at NASA that they say doesn't say anything? They are listening to us?
I got to ask what's going to sound like a dense question, but where is this Black Pyramid supposed to be located?
No idea.
Okay,
It's
that's a problem.
What are will-o-wisps? I've seen them in my home, but inside my home, they're shadowy.
Well, will-o-wisps are a life form, and like I mentioned earlier, I can't give you the actual name offhand, but they live off of departing life forces. Like they live off that last bit of life energy when somebody dies.
So define for our audience, while you're looking that up, define for our audience what a will-o-wisp is.
A will-o-wisp, I suspect, and I'm going to have to really look into this one. As a matter of fact, let me grab that. But I suspect very strongly that they are a subspecies they are a smaller race of the Rosic. But they are hunters. And all they do is they follow around people when people are getting closer to death. They will come around. Very similar to what the what do they call it? Irish banshee is. It's not surprising to find banshee and will-o'-the-wisp in the same area.
All right.
Try that again.
It's up to you.
Oh, I missed what you were trying to ask.
I was going to say, let's move on to another question. Keith, what's more interesting, from Kurt, space under the ice or bottom of the ocean?
Is there a difference? Honestly, I find both of them rather intriguing for different reasons. The life under the ice, on the underside of the ice, is a phenomenal variety that mankind hasn't gotten around to looking at yet. Much of it older than the Devonian period. At the bottom of the ocean, depending on where you go, you're looking at a myriad of life forms of a different nature, not the least of which are the whaling and what you would know. I got to look up the name. I've got it written down. But what we'll refer to as the sea elephant. They live, now the whaling live in amongst coral reefs and what have you, but deeper underwater. When you look at the sea elephant, they live at the bottom. They've actually got an entire civilization below the silt level at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Matter of fact, if you watch the movie The Abyss, that blue liquid they use was developed by the elephant to enable them to take people down, to take humans down, to talk to them. Fortunately, they usually bring the humans back now, but originally it didn't work out that way. Something about the sea folk couldn't understand why humans kept dying before they got down underwater. You know, take them 30 feet underwater without air. Amazingly, humans don't do well.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Travis would like to know, Keith, what is your take on people with a bone spike horn that has grown since birth on the back of the skull?
Odds are, number one, it's a genetic anomaly. There are genetic hiccups. Okay. But if it's been there since birth, it's probably a throwback, to something a lot earlier. Mankind did not always look like mankind, like modern day Homo sapien. You know, you go back far enough, you will find, and I don't know if they found any, but you will find that humans at one point, they did end up developing only 3 fingers, or more to the point, discarding one. Right. But that horn at the back was literally, I don't know if if the person you're referring to has ever had it x-rayed, would not be a shock to find out it's hollow. If it is, you're looking at the remnants of an air pocket. designed literally or evolved literally to be able to handle going underwater for extended periods of time.
All right, we got 4 minutes. I think we can fit in another question or two.
Okay.
Mennonite Abe is asking, R. Keith, NASA says it's going to try and catch up to Oumuamua with a probe. If we do catch up and it's a UFO, what do you think will happen?
Well, I'm not entirely certain what Oumuamua is. I don't, if they catch up to it, number one, if it's a UFO, it will not get as much information as NASA is hoping. If, on the other hand, that probe is also armed with weaponry, you can bet the thing won't work.
Oumuamua, you and I talked about that a few years ago, where a very weird, strange rock came out of nowhere, entered our planetary system, and zoomed by Earth. It was not rotating. It was not. It looked like that. It was just like a giant, long rock, and it wasn't until Harvard professor Avi Loeb came in and said, "I don't think that was an asteroid. I think it was a UFO."
It belonged to the Anunnaki. And it was a UFO. You could not bring an asteroid that size into our planetary system without being able to modify gravitational influx.
So you remember the story now?
I do now. I just forgot the name. But that was a scout, because the Anunnaki are returning. They will not touch down on Earth. They left Earth for a reason. Okay, but that particular rock, you're looking at a scout, which is why it was moving in such a clip. But it could not, if it had not been a ship, if it had just been an asteroid at that size, it would have pulled something out of alignment. Be it Earth's gravity or Mars or whatever it went near, which would have created all kinds of havoc.
All right, we got 1 minute left. Let's sneak in one more question. Kevin is asking, is Planet X dark matter?
No. Planet X belongs, and Planet X is the Anunnaki's primary ship. Okay, so is it hollow? No, but it's got enough of a crust on it that you wouldn't know. See, again, if it were dark matter coming into contact with matter, well, let's put it this way. It wouldn't make it through the solar system and we wouldn't survive. Because a chunk of dark matter that size would detonate.
Do you think then that there are more planets than the 9 that we know of in our solar system?
I can name off 12 right off the hop. And here's the mind blower for you. Our solar system is part of, and they won't know this for 150, 200 years, but our solar system is part of a trinary star.
All right, Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to break right now on Spaced Out Radio. R. Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Hey, Tim. You suck.
You suck.
You suck, Tim. Your show sucks.
Dude.
Your beard sucks.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the hole in your sock sucks.
Yeah. My belly button
You got a face for radio and a voice for print. Oh.
I am going to get water.
This comes after last night I was called fat.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then told my passwords are lame.
Yeah. I saw
And then
that.
there was one more at the end of the night. I was like, oh my God.
I know.
I the ferret? Dave, stop sucking. WTF. Might as well just leave this. Thanks, Kurt.
Doug Shelby, Tim backwards is Mitch. Yes, it is. Well, I used to sign my papers in school.
Mitt?
Used to piss the teachers right off.
Oh, really?
Why do you do that? I don't know. Well, you know who it is, don't you? Put your name on your paper properly. What a kooky night.
Weird. I don't get it.
We are back.
Welcome.
Danke.
I thought he was in the closet.
Yeah, the number of people that have a tendency of insulting people is just absolutely bizarre.
Hey, man, I get it.
Still trying to figure out how people call that intelligence, but
Need a few more questions for Keith here in the next half hour.
How many licks does it take to get them?
V. Sanch must be a teacher. I love it when my students complain. It gives me hope.
well, I was told if somebody isn't complaining, you're not doing your job right.
That's right.
Doug Shelby. Sorry, the Doug Shelby. When you're trapped in the bathroom after eating Taco Bell, it's known as Taco Jail. Oh, my. Uh-huh.
I'm thinking that was just bad.
Oh, I could go for some Taco Bell right now.
Oh, I had lots today.
You son of
I
a...
did not.
You know what? I almost was going to message you
Uh-huh.
to bring some back.
Would have been cold.
We could reheat it, man.
Yeah. I should have come in tonight with a bag.
Man, that's all right. You could join Colb and I. I'm gonna skip him out of school one day here soon.
Road trip.
Road trip down to Kamloops.
Yeah.
Neo Templar, how you doing? We got about a minute, Keith.
Yep, we're ready. We brought our water so we can actually keep our throat functional.
Your sideburns look great today, man.
I appreciate that.
That's some serious pork on them chops today. Big thank you tonight to Forrest Louis ×3. Richard, Mel WD40, Gregory, and Steve. Greatly appreciate it. We got about 9 seconds.
Yep.
Here comes the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We got R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection until the top of the hour. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in on our nightly adventure into the weird and strange. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. R Keith Andrews, the ET Connection, continues now with audience questions. Keith, Blue Cruise is kicking it off here, asking, do aliens have trade shows for selling their products and our services to other aliens?
The short answer is yes. If you think about all the different industries and professions that we have on Earth, enhance the technological and or spiritual level of things, and you've got the same types of interaction. Off-worlders and ancient races are not really that different from mankind.
So basically, you're saying they have flea markets,
Yes.
and garage sales.
Yes. Although with some races, flea markets are referred to as slave trading.
Yep. We got flex capacitors for sale here. 3 for $1.
Ultimately, yes. And yes, they have the whole 9 yards of your religious zealots, you've got your cartels, you name it. All the other races are literally just simply essentially along the same lines as humans with better toys.
Do they have discount smokes on Mars?
Probably. Never actually, I mean, I will tell you, I've met some people that will sell you what amounts to ABC gum or tempered cigars.
All right. Let's go to Shiny. On Halloween night, are you going to do a live stream where you play with a Ouija board and try to contact your ancient ancestors?
Not a snowball's prayer on this planet. Here's the problem. I infect computers in the first place. Drawing out the Ouija board that I have is just asking for a problem.
Not a big fan of it?
Oh, I got no problem with the Ouija board. I know how to build them. I actually know how to build them and the Psychomantium quite safely. Although I do recommend you don't build a Psychomantium. I got no fear of Ouija boards. My first interaction with a Ouija board, I was 10 years old, and I watched the wooden planchard come off the counter and bury itself in a concrete wall. So it was neat to watch.
Got you. All right, Keith, let's go to the next one. Blue Cruise is asking, do aliens use a form of currency for buying products and services?
Now, I'm going to give a two-part answer. Okay. On various different planets, they have their own currency. In consortium-controlled space, they work on a hourly way, on man-hour. Well, we'll use the term man a little loosely, but man-hours of work for the purchase of man-hours worth of goods. but they don't have varying wage scales. You know, it's not like, well, if you're human, you get paid this much. If you're 15, you get paid this much, but if you're 30, you get paid this. Every person doing a job, any gender, any race, gets paid the same amount. And it's all just banked. It's not in consortium-controlled space, because there are so many different currencies. Instead of trying to find a balance point, they went, no, you work here, you get X number of hours of purchasability. You know, the best way to look at it is it's kind of similar to a socialist republic without all the negatives.
All right, let's move on to Steve. R. Keith, what knowledge are the ETs seeking? What do they want to know?
They're trying to figure out two things on the whole. One, how do humans control 0-point energy? Okay, how do they control it how do they affect it without even having a clue that it exists? And two, how do we tap into that curiosity streak that is absolutely bizarre? Humans have an ability that no other race has. And that's the ability to look at a perfectly logical path, go the completely wrong direction, and still land on their feet. The other thing, of course, is how do you replicate the indomitable will of a human? When I say combat readiness, I don't mean they're qualified. I mean humans are ready to fight at the drop of a hat. Won't give up on the whole, and have a creative streak that is dangerous. They're trying to figure out how to put that to use. Trying to figure out either how to put it to use or how to curb it before mankind actually gets off Earth en masse.
Let's go over to Tucson MUFON, or Tucson Muffin, whatever you want to call them. Keith, do you know about the mining operation in the rings of Saturn?
It's been going on for millennia. Problem is, most of it isn't human. Remember I mentioned that the rings around Saturn used to be a factory plant. They're not exactly looking for minerals. They're looking for component parts that have technology so far beyond what human is ready for that they're salvaging it. Humans, on the other hand, have some interesting ideas. Now, to be clear, I have not talked to the human scientists by any stretch. Not about what they're up to. I mean, let's face it, I'm essentially a nobody. But I can tell you that what's out there isn't what they're expecting.
All right, Keith, let's move on to another question here. Let's go. Oh, I've been waiting to ask this one. R. Keith Andrews, how much gold did the Anunnaki offer you for the secret of your pork chop sideburns? Oh, man, I'm a bad host for laughing. I've been waiting on that one for a while. Oh, when I saw it,
I knew that one was going to come out. And ironically, it wasn't a question of old. I can tell people now. Humans, I can tell how to do it. Races that don't naturally have the kind of facial hair they're requiring is a whole different ball game. Now, that being said, the Caldor, they make my sideburns look like a wisp. Of course, the Caldor, you got to understand, are what you know as dwarfs.
I want to follow up so bad. I do. But I'm going to let that go. Thank you, Woo, for the great question. Let's go over to Neo Templar. Which race is the biggest threat to mankind?
Oh, that's easy. Man.
Outside of man.
Oh, now you're getting fuzzy. Which one is the biggest threat? I would guess the Teclac, if they were let run free, would be pretty much a bad setup, because they'll strip the planet of people and materials without even thinking about it, assuming they can get past their own civil war. But I really don't know which one specifically. Probably now. I'm going to have to just double check. I believe it's the Zeron would be the ones you'd be most worried about. Yeah, Xenon, sorry. The Xenon would be the ones you'd be most worried about. Although we are negotiating with them to help them understand the error of their conception. But the Xenon are a literal mechanical race, bent on the idea of wiping out bionomes. Right. But they see bionomes as an extremely inferior organism, which is really fascinatingly funny when you think that the Xenon rely on the natural evolution of bionomes in order to come up with new additions to their own line. They don't have the creative capacity that they require, essentially. But I'm not entirely certain which one I would actually say is the most dangerous, because you think about it, a simple shift of the direction that their ship is going in, the Anunnaki would wipe out the entire planet just by shifting the trajectory they're on, which might be qualified as a bad thing.
All right, Keith, let's move on to the next question here. Let us go over to, let's go to Dean. Do you think Elon Musk is a contactee?
Technically it's possible, but am I going to put any weight behind it? No. It's technically possible on that line of reasoning that everybody in this room is a contactee.
I think he is. I totally
I won't argue with what you think.
I think he is someone who is completely in the know. I totally think that.
I've listened to very little of what he said. And when the little bit I did listen to, quite frankly, I found a massive flaw in what he was talking about. I'm not going into that here. Okay, suffice it to say, he may be a contactee. I have no idea, but I certainly don't put him on any more of a pedestal than I put the grandmother down the street living with her cats.
All right, let's go to another one. Let's go to Kurt. Are we being mined for gold, souls, technology, or just trying to the future of ourselves?
No, and not a prayer. Number one, gold is not the best conductor of energy that is in existence. We have, I think, 115 elements on our periodic table. I have seen a periodic table with 250. Mankind doesn't even have the building blocks to understand what energy levels are available. So, no, gold is out of the equation. Souls are not harvested by anybody. Although there are those that will eat them. But you got to understand, when a soul is eaten, it gets broken down into its component parts. And then that person starts over again trying to find himself. There's a whole lot more complication to that. As far as tech goes, would you rate a kindergarten class for new toys to drive with? Because human tech is so behind and so out of sync with where the off-worlders are standing. There's absolutely no option on that one. As far as are we being influenced to alter the future for ourselves, that is 100% forbidden. Humans have to be permitted, according to consortium law. They have to be permitted, as does every race, to evolve down their own path, not be turned around and said, this is where you're going. This is why the Anunnaki, the Ennead, the Gadefni, all ended up leaving Earth. Some voluntarily, some they were thrown off. When the consortium got here, they went, guys, you're not gods, you're leaving. Mankind is in charge of its own future. And it's up to you guys whether or not you're going to actually have a future that we can call paradise on Earth, or whether you're going to bomb yourselves back to the Stone Age. Kind of a pleasant thought, isn't it?
It is kind of a pleasant thought as we watch the world all go to hell in a handbasket right now. Holy cows. There's a few people out there who need a shaking. That's for sure. All right, Keith,
Agreed.
about 7 minutes left. And I want to ask you, in regards to your own contact that you've had, how is it possible, and I'm asking this for the skeptics out there, because even I'm a skeptic of my own experiences, and you know I'm a multiple experiencer.
Oh, yeah.
How is it possible for one person to have so many different types of interactions, where the majority may only have one interaction at most?
Okay, from my standpoint, it's pretty cut and dry. But in order to accept this explanation, you're going to have to accept that past lives exist, and that I remember many of mine. I've been around a lot longer than most of the people on this planet. And no, I'm not chronologically very old. But a lot of my interaction, a lot of the knowledge I've got, comes from being here for a very long time. That being said, some would call it grabbing the short end of the stick. But since I don't relate to humans well, relating to them becomes easier.
Right. But there's not many multiple experiencers of multiple different species or cryptids or anything out there.
No, there
Why
are.
do some people have multiple experiences and others don't have any?
I wish I could give you a definitive answer on that one. I sit here daily questioning whether my imagination has just gotten completely off the rail, or whether what I'm going through is real. The only thing I've got to go on is the number of people that have corroborated what I've told them, coming from sources I got no idea who they are, and my father's confession on his deathbed that every memory I've talked about to him is real. And he was very specific about the variety and the span of what I had been through, including past life memories, reincarnations, my lab interactions, and the number of people I watched absolutely murdered just simply to get my senses to work. You know, my life is more science fiction than it is anything else. And as you put it, for the skeptics, I'm probably a bigger skeptic than they are.
Do you believe then that it's a calling for many people?
For some it would be.
You
Yeah, for
consider
some people it would quite easily be classified as a calling. In my case, I'm back again for the exact same purpose I've been here multiple times before, just using different tools.
do
I
you
came
think
back to that.
in that calling, do you think like your job here is pretty much to help people? I think my job is to have understanding and tell the stories of people, which is why we do this show. Do you think there are other callings out there regarding this?
Absolutely. And oddly enough, some of those people that have a calling going on, their calling is the dissemination of disinformation. That is literally what they came back here for. Understanding everybody that comes here, okay, everybody that is born here has a very simple issue. They come here to gain wisdom around one aspect of their being. This is why there are why people return many times. Because what you're looking at is literally trying to remember, as in put together who and what you are. Everybody's got the same goal on that one. Just some of us know it more readily than others do.
So, is it a curse or is it a gift?
Yep. I know that's a bad answer. Fact of the matter is, I would love to, in a sense, it's a gift. I don't question whether or not certain things are there. People look at mythology and go, could this have really happened? I'm looking at it going, that's where the stories come from. I don't question it. Right. But at the same time, it has made it absolutely impossible for me, and thus far, for me to relate to people here. Which means my limit in my list of friends is, shall we say, very limited. Even my own family doesn't get the way I look at the world.
Not many people get the way you look at the world, Keith. And I mean that as a compliment, my friend.
Oh, yeah, I know. Absolutely no offense taken. You're one of the few people that looked at what I was coming across with and went, okay, let's run with it and see where it goes. It was never, oh, he's absolutely on the money. Right. That took a while to even accept the fact it might be possible. But you are one of the few people I've talked to. And, scrap the idea of trying to bolster people's egos, guys. But Dave is one of the few people that tends to look at an interview with people and go, I'm interviewing. I'm not here to prove it's right or prove it's wrong. But I'm not about to stand by and let problem children in the audience create an uncomfortable setup. I've talked to a lot of interviewers, and most of them, well, to say I have little respect for them is a gross overstatement. Or understatement, I'm not sure which.
Keith, where can people find your YouTube channel?
That's the easy part. Just type into Google R Keith Andrews. It'll show up. Okay. And I'm on the air usually Friday through Tuesday from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 or from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. Pacific. That's the easiest way to find me. I looked on it, I checked it up this morning. 9 out of 10 under R Keith Andrews were mine.
Love it. R Keith, thank you. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller. Kick off hour 3. Then little Timmy James will be here with the UFO report. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Good job tonight, Keith. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Dave.
You take care, brother. We'll talk soon, okay?
Absolutely. You take care.
Later,
I
bro.
think I'm going to call it night.
All right. You go do that.
Primarily because it's dark.
We'll talk soon, brother.
Okay, Dave. You take care.
Bye-bye. R Keith Andrews, everybody. We'll be right back. All right. Quick protocol for a lot of new people in the chat room here. Okay. I am very, very protective of our Keith Andrews. It's a gentleman who has been bullied his entire life. And whether it's Keith or anybody else, I will go absolutely haywire on anybody who calls a guest a liar. or insults the guest. These people are taking their time out of their night to entertain you guys. And there is no truth in this. There is no proof in this. We've gone over this many a time. But if you're new to the show and you're enjoying the chat room, we want you here. We want you to be cordial. There are rules in the chat room. This is not a democracy. This is a Daveocracy or Davianism, whatever you want to call it. The one rule I have is I don't care if you believe the guest or not. Enjoy. Have some fun with it. Have some fun. You may not agree with every guest. I don't agree with every guest. But just chill and relax and have some fun. Enjoy the woo. You don't have to believe them. Right? You don't. You don't have to believe any guest on this. But at least give them the understanding that they took 2 hours of their night to chat with you guys and to have some fun and to entertain you guys. There is no truth. So the truthers, there is none. There is no proof out there. Enjoy. Here we go with hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're having a great time tonight. I hope you are too, listening on in. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate bringing the tinfoil to your fashion statement. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. I'll be honest, I forget it. So it's Tractor. Tractor is your password. It's a double password tonight. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Howdy, I'm John from Texas. I won't say where for privacy reasons, but I live 10 miles away from my friend Willie's house. He has a lot of acres of land and rides a lot of horses. I live in the suburbs, so I'm going to the country and riding with him, and I'm doing that fairly often, and I enjoy it. I'm 17, and he's 19, and we always make jokes like, "Don't pull the reins too hard, boy," to where I always reply, "I'm 2 goddamn years younger than you, Will." But we never really take it to heart, and it's always just been good fun between brothers. We aren't kin, but he's like my older brother. In the autumn of 2018, when I was 13 and he was 15, we rode one day and planned on staying the night in the prairie about a mile or 2 away from the house. I got on a 6-year-old white stud named Jesse, and Willie got on a 3-year-old brown horse named James. Yes, his parents named those horses after the famous outlaw Jesse and James. Weird, but who am I to judge? Anyway, we set out on our ride at dawn. I say dawn because we did not care about what time it actually was. We were ready to ride the prairies, the woods, and rolling hills of rural Texas to our heart's content. As we rode on for hours and hours, we did nothing but joke around and sing dumb old cowboy songs Willie had learned from his grandfather. In the case of coyotes and snakes, Willie had a revolver on his hip, and I brought along my .30-30 rifle. All we needed were pocket knives, but I don't think we had any spare ones besides the one that was special to us, but I had it on me anyway, but I didn't really want to use it. A friend who used to live in my neighborhood who was Native American gave it to me as a gift of thanks for keeping his bully off his back. I never asked what tribe he was from, though, but I sharpen the knife daily, and it's super sharp. So if needed, it'll get the job done. When I first started growing my facial hair, I would use it to shave it. I don't know why, but it resulted in a nasty cut one day. But it's worth it for me, a 13-year-old at the time, to feel manly. Speaking of feeling manly, Willie and I found a small lake to swim in. The only problem was that it was cold as ice. So we dared each other to cannonball right into the freezing lake water. Boys will be boys, I guess. We stripped down to our boxers and jumped in. It was so much fun to feel the freezing water all over me in a hot summer's day. Willie and I splashed around until 3 men rode up on horseback. They were a couple of years older than us, give or take. They dressed like we were, in cowboy hats, flannel shirts, cowboy boots, and bandanas around their necks. The one in the middle, who appeared to be the youngest, leaned on his saddle horn and stared daggers at us with his bright blue eyes. He spoke.
"What are you boys doing in these parts, huh?"
Willie answered back, swimming? Who the hell do you think you are? The guy was laughing, and he drew his revolver on his side, pointing it at us. The other 2 guys followed his lead.
"How about y'all get your delicate asses out of that water and put your clothes back on?"
he said, aiming it at us with a steady hand. We got out, put our clothes back on, even though we were soaking wet. Willie dropped the revolver on his hip, and I dropped my pocket knife. Then we put our hands up. What do you want?" I asked him.
"I'll tell you what the hell I want, boy. I want you off my goddamn property. Me and my posse are staying here a spell, so you best get out of here,"
he said with a grin, but at the same time super aggressively. Me and Willie both agreed to leave, but we couldn't have honestly made up this crazy hostile, J-head out of nowhere. Like, there's no way this guy had suddenly come and commandeered this area. We rode for another mile or 2 before we called the police, or at least tried to, because the signal was absolutely awful. With no way to call the cops and barely being able to connect to a tower, we decided to deal with them ourselves. So we rode into the prairie, set up camp, and waited. I had my 30-30, and Willie had his revolver ready. 10 riders rode up to us an hour after sunset, kicking up dust. They all had their guns drawn, and they all glared at us with the desire to put us out of our misery right then and there. All of them but one, the same smiling J-head that pointed his gun at us earlier. There was something off about him. Even though he didn't look crazy, he was not all there mentally. They walked past our fire toward us, pistol drawn and ready to blow our heads off. Willie and myself had no idea what we were going to do or why this was even happening. The crazy guy got about a foot away from me and looked right at me. The crazy guy got about a foot away from me and looked me right in my eyes and said,
"I don't think we personally met, partner. I'm Billy."
He put his gun away and stuck his hand out to shake mine. I shook his hand and told him my name was John.
"John, huh? A mighty fine name."
Billy looked over at Willie.
"You got a name, amigo?"
"My name's Willie," Willie said in a stern voice.
"Well, John, Willie, I want y'all to know I don't mean no harm, but I best not see you in this spot again. You understand?"
Billy stared at us, if expecting us to say we would leave. But Willie pointed to his pistol, and Billy also then began to yell,
"You can kiss my ass. This is my property, my parents, my probability. You must leave right now before I..."
It was cut off by the sound of a gun hammer being clicked. All the riders had their guns aimed at me and Willie. Billy grabbed Willie by his shirt collar and put his gun under his chin.
"You leave now, boy, or I'll blow your goddamn head off,"
he said to Willie. Billy got back on his horse, and then he and his men rode off. We got back on our horses and rode back to the house to use the landline to call the police and warn Willie's parents about the crazy horse riders on their property. When we told them what had happened, they didn't believe us in the slightest and wanted to search the whole property before calling the cops. Sure enough, we couldn't find evidence of anybody other than Willie and me ever being there. When I started thinking all about the guys who were riding the horses, they dressed like cowboys and were led by a young guy named Billy. So, after some talking and some digging, we are in a historical area where Billy the Kid would have been running around. So no freaking way. Did we have a ghostly encounter with Billy the Kid and his crew? How were we able to travel in time like that? Could it have been something to do with that special pocket knife? I don't know. That's never happened to me before. But it was terrifying and exciting all at the same time.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller for another creepy story. That one was a little odd. A little odd as we say goodnight to Swamp Dweller. Get ready to say hello to Tim. If you want more Swamp Dweller stories just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/spaced out. No, Swamp Dweller reads. Space Out Radio is ours. Swamp Dweller reads for his. You'll get a lot of free stories right there. Let's get to the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer.
Tim James here for an exciting UFO report as we're going to get right into it, man. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing good.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a good night when we have R Keith Andrews on the show.
100%. Great
And,
show.
you know, it's a lot of fun. I'll tell you, though, this giant bruise on my leg from when I injured myself,
Sorry. Yeah.
dude, it is the size of a mega hamburger right now.
Oh.
Like literally, like remember when hamburgers were actually real hamburgers and not what we get today at fast food joints?
Yes, I do.
So if you took the old Whopper from Burger King,
it was huge. Yeah.
back in the day,
Yep.
not this paper thin thing that we see today.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally is like that big, man. It's like that big.
Is it purple and green?
I got the purple.
Oh.
Dark purple.
Oh.
Yep.
Ugh.
I actually called my son in today and I'm like, dude, you got to check this out. He's like, what, Dad? You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, showing him,
Sure.
you know, and he's like, that is the biggest bruise I have ever seen, man. Biggest bruise.
And uncomfortable.
Hugely uncomfortable. You know what, though? I'm getting better. Thank you to Dr. Phil.
Excellent.
I'm getting better. And it's, man, did he work on my body yesterday, man?
Yeah.
Oh, feel so good.
Awesome. Well, that's good.
Feel good. You know what? You know what it is? It's weird
Hmm.
because he works on my back a lot.
Right.
And I'm thinking, dude, my groin muscle is killing me.
Yeah.
And yet he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He goes, but let me get your back straightened out first.
Mhm. Yeah.
And dude, he's worked on my back twice since then.
Yeah.
And the first time I went to him earlier in the week, I couldn't even lay down on his table. I actually ended up taking the night off the show because I was in extreme amount of pain.
Yeah.
Next morning, I was walking fine.
Unbelievable.
Still sore,
Sure.
tender,
Yeah.
but walking fine. Like, could totally do it on my own.
Yeah.
And went back the other day, and man, I'm feeling great now.
That's awesome. Well, my wife was a registered massage therapist for 20 years, and same thing. You know, my knee was hurting, so she'd be working on my shoulder blades. I'd be like, "What?" Yeah, I was like, they know how it's all connected. So,
Right? It's
Yep.
insane.
It is
Totally insane. Yep.
very much.
You hurt your shoulder, you work the feet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that makes sense.
Not to me.
No, not to me either, man. But it's all good.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with something with an I told you so moment.
A toe to so.
I told you so.
Have at her, my friend.
I'm going to kick this one off. If you don't
Yes,
mind.
you are.
So, you know how we have these Senate hearings on UFOs coming up November 13th, a few days after the U.S. election?
Mm-hmm.
Tim Burchett,
Yes.
congressman, says today, don't expect too many witnesses to come forward for this next set of hearings. We're not going to have as many witnesses as we did last time. They had 3. It was David Grush,
Mm-hmm.
David Fravor,
Okay.
and whoever the third one was.
Yeah.
Ryan Graves, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I told you so.
Mhm.
I forewarned everybody
Mhm.
going into this hearing that we're going to get another bust.
Yeah.
They're going to blow hard like a whale out of the blowhole,
Mhm.
shooting water 30, 40 feet in the air. And they're going to act all tough.
Yeah.
They're going to put their boxing robes on and they're going to head to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then before they step into the ring, they're going to chicken out. And that's exactly what happened. As Askapol, which is a great website, Askapol, asked Tim Burchett about it today. And he's like, nah, you can't really expect too much. We're not going to. But how do we get disclosure, allegedly, if we don't have people talking about it, Tim?
Right? I have no clue. I think also there was I think the hurricane, obviously, and the election, or the obviously the upcoming election. I think what's happened too is I heard something about a couple of quotes on the. Well, we've got the hurricane. There's too much stuff going on, right? So back burnering. So, but you're right. How do we find out anything? How do we find out anything when first of all, they're not saying anything, and then they grandiose promises and bubble gums and lollipops and rainbows, and then it's, well, we were thinking about this, and some of the people don't want to show up. I don't get it. I don't get it. They just keep blowing smoke and dropping the ball. And I mean, still wait to see what happens. But I mean, if that's the narrative, if that's what they're going with at this point in time, it's just another one of those almost like a toe to sew moment again, right?
I'm tired of these government officials leading people on, thinking that we're going to get something, thinking that we're going to get answers.
Yeah.
And we don't get a damn thing every time.
Yeah.
Every time. And Matt Laszlo for Axcapol.
Yeah.
He one thing I like about him is that he hasn't dropped the ball on this subject.
No.
Okay. He hasn't dropped the ball on it. He's kept pushing the politicians for answers on this.
Yeah.
All right. And we're going to get a hearing. Who's going to speak? Apparently, there's this new name coming out that's going to speak, but they're not releasing the name.
No.
Right? Or they're not releasing the name. Republican or Representative Eric Burleson says, when asked by Axcapol, what do you make of the November 13th UAP hearing? Oh. And Matt Laszlo asks, you haven't heard of it? No. Okay, now that I know, I'm going to give the name of a witness because I had somebody leak a name to me of somebody that would basically knows a lot. So what are we getting? Sean Kirkpatrick again?
Oh my gosh.
Are we getting Elizondo? Are we getting Jay Stratton? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Why even have this hearing if they're not going to put the time and attention into it? But they are right. There's a lot going on.
100%.
The mess from Hurricane Helene, which is absolutely dastardly. God bless those people who didn't make it, and those who are still looking for loved ones, and send all love and prayers down there. I mean, it's a mess down there.
No question.
But why do it? Why do it if we're not going to take this seriously?
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like a game, like a charade.
Yep.
It's posturing.
It's like it's almost like they're some of those big concerts, big festivals, right? You've got all these A-list celebrities that they put out on the marquee, and then they just seem to dwindle away, and you show up and it's like, some band, high school band that from a local town that's playing. Yeah, it's very weird. They keep not moving the goalposts. I guess that's another, but yeah, the promises are so empty, right? And unfortunately, this is obviously quoted by somebody else, but some of these people, I wouldn't believe them if their tongue came notarized. Like, it just doesn't. It's like, yeah, and it makes me feel bad because I'm skeptical, right? And I go, oh man, I gotta quit being so negative. But how many times, like we used it the other night, how many times does Lucy have to keep moving that football before Charlie Brown says, I'm not kicking that ball anymore, right? So the only problem is, if we're not kicking the ball, who's kicking it or who's trying to kick it, right? I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, that's for sure.
It's getting tiresome.
Yeah.
The story doesn't change. The story is always the same. They're always leading us on. Nothing ever happens.
No.
Okay. I don't care what this new witness says, what he does, who he is. They've let us on enough.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting tiresome
For
that
sure.
every bloody time it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And the people who lose are the people who are wanting more and more people
Mm-hmm.
to come forward. These are the people who seem destined to believe that disclosure is actually going to happen.
Right. Right.
This is why I say, guys, there is no such thing as disclosure.
No.
There is no such thing as a threat narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Threat narratives bring money
Yep.
and big billion-dollar budgets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The politicians are just playing the posturing game that they care.
Yeah.
And and look, I bet you they want to know the secrets. If I was in that position, like up here in Canada, if
Yeah.
I was a member of parliament,
Yeah.
I would want to know.
So would I.
I would want to know.
Yeah.
And I do realize that due to national security, there are things that you can't say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But stop acting tough in front of a microphone.
Yeah.
We're going to get to it. We're going to bring transparency. How
Yeah.
many times do we have to hear the word transparency and skiff
Yeah.
in the same paragraph?
That's right.
It's terrible.
No, it is. It is. And then what also I think where my head gets negative with it is, yeah, you've got the Lou Elizondos and people putting out, whistleblowers putting out books and putting out documentaries and movies and stuff like that. And, sometimes I go, is this all just a bunch of BS too, to just keep feeding us, spoon feeding us? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, my brain, the way it works is sometimes I go, yeah, they just keep burning us off, but we keep getting these little flashes and explosions of, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And, a book comes out. Ooh, ah. And then nothing happens after that. Right. Like
it's like a bunch of people standing on the top stairs of Congress,
right,
yelling, damn it, I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Right.
And guess what? They turn their back, go right through the door that they came from, and they go take it some more.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's, as Stephen in the UK says, it's just dangling the carrot.
Yep.
Dangling the carrot.
Yeah. And it's frustrating.
It is extremely frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fun.
Nope.
And even though this show will cover what happened,
100%. Yep.
we have Science Bob on that night.
Yeah.
We're going to probably add Courtney Marcassani, who is going to be trying to get a press pass and get in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
It will depend on who the witness is.
Yeah.
Okay. But in my assumption of it all, actually, I'm not going to say assumption. I'm going to say in my belief, my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I really believe what they're going to say is, I can't talk about that outside of a skiff. I can't talk about that outside of a skiff. We are investigating UAPs. It's going to be more confirmation of what we already know.
Yes.
And nothing of what we don't know.
Yeah. Guaranteed.
That's what I expect to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who expects more than that, this is, like I said, another I told you so moment.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be a down, Debbie Downer here. I'm not trying to do that.
No.
I want to have something happen. Our audience deserves some proper news rather than, guess what? It's ham and cheese sandwich night for dinner again tonight.
Yeah.
And the cheese isn't even melted.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We flipped the sandwich over so the ham's on the top now, right? It's still the same crap.
But no ketchup, no mustard, no mayonnaise. No. We got to take you to Skiff if you want those kind of condiments. It's terrible. Coming up next on the UFO Report with Tim James, we're going to get into Enigma Labs. Roll your eyes, people. More crap coming for you.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Oop to Joe's Maine. You got aliens. I love that pointy stick, man. Can't stop looking at it.
I know.
He got a couple more in.
Mm?
He did,
Mm-mm.
including a mint-colored one.
Negative.
Oh, dude, it looks awesome. I would buy it for myself.
Really?
It looks amazing. So the
Mint.
body of the pointy stick
Yeah.
is mint.
Okay.
It still has the black tracks on it
Okay.
and the black shoulder part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd have to see,
PRM, how are you?
have to see it.
PRM, I am talking to people about that. I'm trying to find out some more answers about that.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I saw that too. I was reading it too. And I'm thinking,
That story's a couple of weeks old.
yeah, but his wife, who is she in the grand
That's
scheme
what
thing?
I'm trying to find out.
Right? I'm like,
In fact, I'll read the question that I have for one of my sources.
okay.
Question for you. And I'm still waiting for an answer for this, by the way.
Mhm.
How is Jay Stratton's wife allowed to comment on whether or not Elizondo ran ATIP?
Right.
Is she part of the program, or is she just a wife of a husband who is talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the question I'm waiting for, guys.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering the same thing. I mean, not to say that she doesn't know, but I'm like, how? What? Yeah,
Dude, that looks good with the scope.
it does.
The red dot.
The red dot, and it's not a laser. I was trying to add that to the.
It's not a
chat room.
laser beam.
No, it's just instead of the crosshairs that are normally in a scope, this is a flat screen, and it's got a projector that projects a red dot onto the lens instead of the crosshairs. That's all it is. It's not a laser. It's not a cheat. It's just fancier. That's all it is.
Fancier.
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 Do you have any Grey Poupon?
Pardon me. Pardon me. By the way, that was a great question Whoop Who put out about Keith's sideburns, eh?
I know, right?
How much gold did he offer you?
Oh,
God.
I know. I thought we were going to start losing it.
Oh, my God.
It's,
That was brilliant.
yeah.
Just brilliant.
Yeah, there's some loosey-goosey moments tonight. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to be quiet because I'm almost keeling over with my spleen erupting from laughter back here. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Yeah, too much fun.
I'm slowly having to clean the house because my dad is coming up
Oh, yeah.
with the new girlfriend for Thanksgiving next weekend.
They confirmed, eh?
They confirmed.
Excellent.
I'm actually excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah, I got to take my dad out in the field because he really wants to try and see a moose. He's never seen a bull moose
Got to get up early.
or late.
Yeah. But head up across the street from the heritage site up in the back there. I know some really good spots. We saw
Yeah.
4 last year.
What
You
time?
We were up.
They're usually around daybreak, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they'll lay by the swamps until the mist comes off of them.
Yeah.
And then they'll start moving around a bit.
Those things are psycho, man.
When they're in the rut, one of
No,
the
but they're just psycho. I mean, middle of winter, they want to be standing in the water.
Yeah.
Like they're like, and I didn't know that they could hold their breath and they feed underwater.
Yeah. Get all the roots and stuff to get right down into it. Yeah. That's why they call them swamp donkeys.
No, I understand that, but I
Yeah.
actually saw a guy with a video camera, like one of
Mhm.
those nature programs,
Mhm.
like filming a moose underwater. Like it
Oh.
was like 10 feet underwater eating. It's holding its breath and it's eating.
That's cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that.
All right. Big thank you tonight to Louis with a hat trick, Richard, Gregory, Steve, Mel WD40 for the super chats. Greatly appreciate it. I'm not excited for any Elizondo video because every show that he goes on, they ask him the same question. So I'm not excited about Jesse Michaels. And if you want to learn more about Jesse Michaels, see who's funding him.
Mm.
It might be close to Enigma Labs. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. The UFO report with Tim James will continue momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. This is Spaced Out Radio. We're having fun with you tonight. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here comes our good friend Tim James with the UFO report. You got a story on Enigma Labs.
Oh, yeah. So was digging around this morning or this afternoon, excuse me. And yeah, basically there's an article out that I found, and it's did the former head of the Pentagon UFO office in any way financially profit from these investments? So what we're talking about, did the United States military finance a popular UFO reporting app via proxies? So the Pentagon, U.S. government in reporting may be tied to financing Enigma Labs, which self-reported but later removed connections to Arrow, and former Arrow boss Sean Kirkpatrick is listed as a member of the financing company claimed to be a seed investor for Enigma Labs. So what claimed evidence is what claimed evidence is there of this? Researcher Jack Brewer published in an article which states Anderson identified Kirsten Bartok Tau as previously listed as a source of pre-seed funding for Enigma Labs Incorporated, a recently launched company outwardly dedicated to UFO investigation and transparency, yet seemingly much less forthcoming than their self-description suggests. So a document by Anderson, the role of Bartok Tau, has since been removed from the websites. So Bartok Tau is a special government employee at the Office of Strategic Capital under the Office of the Secretary of Defense, as well as managing partner of New Vista Capital and Air Finance, among other roles of potential significance. If designated a special government employee, or SGE, one may simultaneously represent the interests of big tech companies, banks, venture capital funds, military contractors, intelligence agencies, defense tech startups, and pretty much anybody else with skin in the game. So, yeah, there's more that goes on with it, but the government office in the Pentagon, charged by the United States Congress and President under law to investigate military reports of UFOs. So, who are allegedly involved? The involved parties. So, the government office. Who is the Office of Strategic Capital under the Office of Secretary of Defense? These people, the Secretary of Defense, established the Office of OSC in December of 2022 to attract and scale investment to national security priorities. OSC aims to use the United States' comparative advantages in capital markets and economic competition to crowd in capital for the critical technology supply chains needed by the Department of Defense. And this is where it goes. Who is New Vista Capital? They appear to be major aerospace investors. New Vista Capital, on their website as of October 3rd, 2024, lists Sean M. Kirkpatrick under their Venture Partners and Advisors page. That would be this Sean Kirkpatrick, who made longtime DoD military, IC-related scientist, and spy sort, who ran Arrow and briefed Congress. So there's some jiggery-pokery going on by the sounds of it.
There is a lot of things going on right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you go to Enigma Labs, you can look this up.
Yeah.
This is a group that stated in one of their first tweets, and because of John Greenwald and myself
Mm-hmm.
asking tough questions, for a while there, you could not even respond on Enigma Labs' Twitter account.
Right.
Because they shut it down to any type of response.
Mm-hmm.
One of their first tweets, and I'm paraphrasing here,
Okay.
said, "We are not interested in government contracts, yet we'll happily work with the military and government in order to find more answers."
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it goes on a little bit further than that, though.
Okay.
It goes on a little bit further than that. When you break down the fact that Alice Smith,
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't want her name being revealed as the head of Enigma Labs.
Yeah.
So if you go to their website, when it says meet the team, you have a picture of founder. Founder.
Oh.
Okay. Who's backing her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a company called Palantir.
Right.
And if you follow the rabbit hole
Yeah.
of Palantir,
Right.
and go down the rabbit hole a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
you will notice that their owner of Palantir, the head CEO, is a gentleman named Peter Thiel,
Right.
who made his billions off of a company called PayPal.
Yes.
So who is he tied to with PayPal? Elon Musk.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
They also happen to have many, many different subsidiary companies.
Of course.
So The Intercept actually had a section on their report
Mm-hmm.
about how Peter Thiel's companies have been used out of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Okay, which it's weird because in one of the posts by Enigma Labs, we are funded by the top venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. Oh my.
Oh my.
And Peter Thiel, has allegedly had his companies
Mm-hmm.
spying on the world
No.
for the U.S. government. This is why I tell people out there, be very careful whom you send your UFO reports to.
Sure.
Basically, the article is Peter Thiel's Palantir helped the NSA spy on the whole world. So that is something interesting. Do you really, really want, if you are Joe or Jane Smith out there who has a UFO or alien encounter,
Mm-hmm.
do you really want your personal information going to a company that has ties to the military, government contracts, 3-letter agencies? Now, there's a lot of people who will allege, well, MUFON does that too. No, MUFON doesn't do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They don't. Anybody could get access to that if you pay the monthly fee,
Mhm.
including the United States military and
Yeah.
the alphabet agencies.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my information getting into the hands of a government company that is lying about being a government company.
Yeah.
How do we know that their word is true? That they aren't going to share my personal information? You can put anything on a website.
Of course.
Okay. I could put on the Spaced Out Radio website right now, hey, we're not going to share where our guests are from.
Yeah.
And then guess what? I come on air and from 100 Mile House, British Columbia,
Yeah. Yeah.
here's Tim James.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, I don't trust it at all. I mean, ugh.
Okay. I started getting real wary of this when I found out that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police,
Mhm.
when you report a UFO to them,
Okay.
they immediately send your information to NORAD
Oh, I didn't know that.
at Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado,
Oh.
who then will try to dispatch the 2 closest CF-18 Hornets to try and intercept the craft.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Okay, so we have that. A company like Enigma Labs, okay, we're all tied to it one way or another. How many of us have PayPal accounts out there? I do. Many others do.
Yeah.
Okay. Or Starlink.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
don't think those billionaires, they hang out with each other. Right?
Yep.
And the point that I'm getting at is, when you fill out one of these reports, what do they ask you for? They ask you for your full name, not just, you can't just put out there spaced out Tim.
Yeah.
Okay. They're going to ask you for your name, your phone number, your address, time it happened, who was with you. Okay.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Do you really, really want that information getting into the hands of people who don't need it?
No.
Okay. This is the military industrial complex taking over. What happens when your name gets on those lists?
Yeah.
There's a dossier that's made about you.
No, thank you. No.
It's just like, I know for a fact, because I've been told by multiple sources,
Right.
that every time we go red light on this show for on air, we're listened to by agencies. And I'm not saying that to be tinfoil or anything like that.
No, understand.
I've also been told that by these certain people that there is a dossier of me in the Pentagon. So if there's a dossier of me on the Pentagon doing all this, which I think is really cool. By the way, really, really cool.
No doubt.
All right. That's my, when I die, that's my claim to fame on my headstone. I had a 1-page dossier at the Pentagon.
The Dave Scott file.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, I don't want my personal information or any of my listeners' personal information having the potential to get their email, phone number, address, full name, color of the kitchen sink, tile in the bathroom, how many rolls of toilet paper are spares just in case.
Exactly.
Because if it's anything like my household, okay, there's only 4 squares left. All right?
Yes.
They don't need to know that.
No, exactly. You're right. And it just freaks me out because, I mean, I have a hard time giving my personal information out to anything, even if I'm ordering something online. Last thing I want to do is put my name or anybody else's name out there into like you say, to the government or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm good.
You know how you get those phone calls usually at least 2-3 times a week? Do you want to upgrade your cell phone plan? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I got one of those the other day.
Right.
And I'm saying this because it's kind of on topic. And the lady who allegedly works for my cell phone provider says to me, "Can you tell me what your balance is as a security code?" I said, "How about you tell me and I will confirm it?"
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You tell me and I will say yes or no.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you.
No.
Find other UFO groups that are out there who have the story and your best interest at heart and not what they could do with your information.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
This isn't a telethon. My information is not free.
No.
All right.
No, definitely. And that's weird. Never had that before. Somebody phone up and say, "Can you tell me what your balance is so that I know this is really you?" It's like, what?
Yeah, it was part of my security questions.
No.
You know, it's like, what's next? You're going to hit me up for an authentication code? Yeah. I hate those.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, I hate those. What else you got for us? I'm done with Enigma Labs.
Yeah, that's
can't
right. Yeah,
stand
me
them.
too. That's okay. I'm turning off my tablet. In my notes here, it is the anniversary of Shag Harbor up here in Canada.
That's right.
Yeah.
Back in 1967.
On the 4th of October.
And you know what's weird about that?
What's that?
Shag Harbor, when it happened, it was 3 weeks after former Minister of Defense Paul Hellyer and the Trudeau government, or the was it Diefenbaker or Trudeau government? Because he was a liberal, I believe.
Yeah.
Trudeau government was defeated
Mm-hmm.
in the election by, I think, Diefenbaker.
67? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And the election was 3 weeks before Shag Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he knew nothing about it. He knew nothing about it. This is a guy who opened up the UFO landing pad in Alberta to celebrate Canada's 100th anniversary, that everybody and everything was welcome in Canada.
That's right.
And then on his watch, the Stefan Mikulik case happened at Falcon Lake.
Yeah.
And then 5 months, 6 months later, you have Shag Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe when those UFOs went into the water there, I still believe that there is debris down there.
See, the funny thing, and I'm sorry, didn't mean to just cut you off like that. Funny thing is that I was refreshing my brain with it. And at the end of the official documentation, they went and they checked everything out and couldn't find anything. They had divers down and whatever. So not until 1993 was it that they actually more of the story came out. So Chris Stiles,
former guest on this show,
he went and he spoke to witnesses that had been there that were still alive. And he also spoke to family members and stuff that had got the stories from witnesses. So Stiles was assisted by MUFON investigator Doug Ledger. So these two men would uncover some extremely compelling evidence through their interviews. They discovered that when the divers of the Granby finished their work, so when they said, we found nothing, the case was not actually over at all. The divers, along with other witnesses, related these events. The object that dove into the waters of the harbor had soon left the Shag area. So they said they couldn't find it, and it disappeared from where it had gone into the water. So it had disappeared, traveling underwater for about 25 miles to a place called Government Point, which was near a submarine detection base. So the object was spotted on sonar there, and the naval vessels were positioned over it. After a couple of days, the military was planning a salvage operation when a second UFO allegedly joined the first. The common belief at that time was that the second craft had arrived to render aid to the first. So at that time, the Navy decided to wait and watch. So, after about a week of monitoring the two UFOs under the water, some of the vessels were called to investigate a Russian submarine that had entered Canadian waters. At this point, the two underwater craft made their move. They made their way to the Gulf of Maine, and putting distance between themselves and the chasing Navy boats, or Canadian Navy boats, so couldn't paddle as fast, I guess. And they broke the surface and shot away into the skies. So these events were corroborated by many witnesses, both civilian and military. Unfortunately, the reports were given off the record. Ex-military personnel feared the loss of their pensions, and civilian witnesses feared ridicule, of course, and then their privacy being invaded. The unusual events of Shag Harbor commanded an important place in the study of UFOs. There is little doubt that something unknown crashed into the waters of Shag Harbor on October 4th, 1967. So, I thought that was cool. Official report, couldn't find anything. And then, 1993, ta-da!
I think it's great.
Yeah, me too.
I think Shag Harbor is one of my favorite stories that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And it really is Canada's Roswell.
For sure.
It really is Canada's Roswell. And it doesn't get
in the afternoon, first of all, and then they saw them in the boats, right? So I was like, that's so cool.
It is cool. It's very cool that it's man, I want to go there so bad.
Yeah.
I want to go there so bad and check it out and have everything kind of play out that way.
Hmm. I think that from what I understand, their museums and stuff like that it's almost like you say, like Area 51 and all that sort of stuff. I went and I kind of Googled Earth and tripped around on the streets in there in Shag Harbor. And yeah, they got museums with UFOs and there's little diners with aliens and stuff. So yeah, it would be fun, but very interesting story. And it was a lot of fun rereading it. And it's happened 57 years ago today.
That's amazing.
I know, right?
That is amazing. I mean, where does time fly?
I don't know. I was 1 year old.
I was 6. No,
you couldn't have been. You weren't born.
No, I was -6.
Yeah, there you go.
-6 or -7.
Yeah,
-6.
I remembered. I was 1 year old and I saw it on the news.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you. As we got about 30 seconds left, Chris Stiles has great books on UFOs in that area, and he's been a guest on this show. If you want to learn more about it, go on Amazon and get his books about it. It's absolutely phenomenal. Cool. That we see that, I love these anniversaries when they pop up.
I do too.
It's a lot of fun to be able to cover them on the UFO Report. So great job.
Thank you.
In getting that one. And once again, if you see a UFO sighting, don't send it to Enigma Labs. They do not have your interest at heart.
Send it to Dave Labs.
No, I don't want it. I'm not a reporting site. Not a reporting site. Not at all. Nope, not me.
Nuh-uh.
Not me, man. I'm just a radio host. I'm not a researcher. Not a researcher at all. Tim, thank you very much for coming on Spaced Out Radio again.
No problem.
We'll talk to you very, very soon.
Cool.
And a big thank you to R Keith Andrews of the ET Contactee. As we say hello, Rod Bumblefoot Paul, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official host of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking it, sit down every single show. Get your horns up with the guitar to God itself. Special thanks to everyone listening in at work, at home, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat room, YouTube, Twitch, Elkin, Facebook, Streamer, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X. Attaching to Space Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Squad Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my
make a
friends,
mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the little train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Hey, we made it through a full show without anybody calling me fat today.
Yeah.
Ah,
Gotta love it.
all right. Son of a bitch, eh? Woo!
Well, the camera adds like 50 pounds.
60.
60. Yeah, that's a
70 for some of us. Uh-huh.
That's why we're black. Slimming.
Slimming. You look svelte. Svelte. Oh, man.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. It was a good show.
Yeah, it was. I thought you were going to lose it there for a bit because we were just giggling so much. I'm like, I'm sorry. I had to turn my back.
Oh, no. No.
You're a consummate professional.
I am a consummate professional. Consummate professional.
That's right.
Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, nice,
Holy cow,
Joe.
our impressions are going up.
Are they?
Holy shit.
What is this? What are we talking?
On Spreaker, I'm just looking at our statistics here. In the last 30 days, we've had almost 674,000 impressions
Wow.
on our show.
Sweet.
Yeah. We had one show. Well, that one had 31,601 listeners to it.
Nice.
My oh my.
Well.
Well. What is this all about? It's actually exciting to see that number. It's a 75% increase from the previous 30 days.
That's because SOR fans or subscribers rock.
They rock hard.
They rock.
Uh-huh. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights. They rock hard.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 14 tons of mud swamping traction action.
Mm-hmm. You almost sound like that wrestler El Fantasma there for a second.
Really? Guy's a goof.
I heard he shoves toothpicks up his nose just to pick it.
I wouldn't doubt it. Well, last night when you were telling your stories, I saw that he jumped in there and claimed the fame that he was the mass peer.
Did he?
Yeah. You said nobody did. You were reading it, and I was following along with you, whatever, watching it from home. And
Doesn't
I was like,
surprise me.
yeah. It was like, and they still don't know who he is. And then all of a sudden, bam, El Fantasmo's name popped up. I'm like, yeah, wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, you could tell El Fantasmo. He's got a guy who uses the term squatch.
Right?
Son of a bitch.
No doubt.
Horrible guy.
Tofu, quinoa eating, whatever.
Then figuring out where finances are, finding out some rather intriguing information regarding some of the races I've been tracking and dealing with. And finally got a handle on what's going on as far as.
Oh, well. We'll let them deal with it. I got to fix that this weekend.
Man, that was a long drive today. Like, I got to Kamloops, and then I turned around and sitting there and relaxing for a bit. And I didn't even remember half the drive.
I hate that drive.
I don't mind it. It was just today. It was like, God, like, where did the day go?
That dead cell phone section.
Oh, on number one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That 25-minute dead cell phone section or 30-minute, that drives me nuts. In today's society on a major highway,
I know.
You have no cell phone service there.
And through there.
Put up a tower.
Right?
Like, how dumb do you have to be?
Like, and yeah, for obviously people that don't know the area, it's like, it's almost plateauish. It's not like there's gigantic mountains on either side.
One tower. That's all you need.
I know.
One tower.
Yeah. I think the wife was talking to the kid, letting her know what was going on. And we hit that spot. She goes, we're in the dead zone. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh.
Wide open.
No. By the way, if you guys want to hear something funny, so in British Columbia, we're about to go to an election here in a couple weeks for a new premier, which would be like electing a governor down there.
Right. Yeah.
And one of the hot button topics to get rid of the woke movement in British Columbia is the one party is campaigning now on eliminating paper straws, going back to plastic, and telling grocery stores you need to bring back plastic bags. Never mind the economy or anything. I'm for it.
Yeah.
I am totally for it. Get rid of that shit. Okay. Because the new studies, have you seen all the new studies recently
about
the chemicals that are in the plastic straws?
Yes.
I don't know what it's like down here, but we're like California North.
Yeah.
Okay. In British Columbia.
Yeah.
We're like California North.
Mhm.
Okay. Where if you're stupid, you get elected.
Yeah.
If you're an idiot, you get elected.
True.
And up here, they even banned restaurants or like fast food restaurants from giving out napkins.
That's right.
You have to request napkins. They
Mhm.
just don't automatically hand you a napkin anymore.
Oh,
So, because they're trying to save paper through napkins.
Huh?
Yet you go to the grocery store and 98% of everything is in plastic.
mm-hmm.
The paper straw, you go to Tim Hortons and
Yes.
you get an ice cap.
Yep. Plastic
The
cup.
only thing that is paper there is the straw.
That's it.
The cup cover is plastic.
Yeah.
The cup is plastic.
Yep.
What are you saving?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Did you know that when you run through Rotten Ronnie's through the drive-through, when you look at your receipt, the bag that they put your food in cost you 25 cents.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
A lot of people are starting to stop going to doing that because of that chincing.
Yeah.
You go to Rotten Ronnie's now, it's a $40 bill.
Yeah, I know. It's stupid.
I'm not paying $40
For, a wafer thin burger. No, thank you.
It's not even worth it anymore.
No. Not
And
at
as
all.
much as I crave a good Big Mac every now and again,
Yeah.
with those absolutely horrid pickles. Oh, I hate the pickles on there.
I can't eat the Big Macs anymore.
Oh,
Can't do it. Well,
Sure.
ever since I was about 18, but yeah, I can't do it.
bring back the McDLT.
What was it? The McRib. That was what and then they had pizza at one time too. Oh God. I remember when I was
Yeah.
a kid, I used to ride my bike to McDonald's, me and my brother and my friends, and without, in all seriousness, $2 bill in my pocket. I could get a quarter, or I think it was a quarter pounder. Yeah, quarter pounder, regular fries, and a Coke, and still get change out of $2.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was probably about 1976, 77.
Yeah. Last time my daughter was up, she
Huh?
wanted a steak dinner
Jeez.
because I said to her, "So what do you want?
Yeah,
You want to go out for dinner?" She goes, "Dad, I want you to make me one of your barbecued steaks."
Yummy.
Okay. I said, "Wonderful. I'll do that for you."
Yeah.
7 steaks and a pack or a 24 pack of Pepsi cost me $97.
Where did you get the meat? Over at Save?
Save on,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Margette's.
$97.
Mhm.
And then I'm paying carbon tax on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And now full tax on it,
Mhm.
which there used to be no tax on food.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Except GST.
If you want really good steaks local, Pavlik's Meats.
I'll have to check that out.
Oh, dude. Yeah. He, him and his son, him and his sons run this, and they butcher all the stuff themselves, obviously, make their own jerky. And the 108 supermarket sells a lot of their stuff too. But
I'm not supporting them.
no.
I don't support them much anymore.
Nope. But if you look up Pavlik's and go over when they're open, you can buy meat packs from them and stuff too. And they're the only butchers, and I've met them so many times and know them quite well, that don't cheat you. Like friends of ours got pork, got a bunch of pork done. Their pork chops were at least that thick. Their loin chops.
Mm-hmm.
And they were huge.
Huge.
They're huge.
Bigger, better, better every single time.
But wait, there's more.
Of course there's more.
Johnny, tell him what he's won.
You have won pork chops, courtesy of the local butcher.
Yeah. But yeah, go get steaks. And I like Margette's too, but that's a bit of a jaunt to go get steaks.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they got great ribeyes though, Margette's. Oh my God.
Do you shut down barbecue season?
Do I shut down?
Like, is there I don't barbecue during the winter.
What?
I don't.
Really?
You know why? I am petrified that my barbecue, my propane tank is going to explode. I know it won't.
Nope.
I know it won't. Right?
Yeah.
But I just have this fear.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Happening.
Yeah, I think propane I'm pretty sure propane it won't blow up, but once you get down and nobody's barbecuing at minus 40 Celsius, but that's when it actually turns to a liquid and freezes. So it just stops working, right? But obviously, unless you've got a leak in the hose or something. But no, I'll barbecue in the winter. Not a problem, but not at 40 below. I'm not doing that. But
yeah,
I don't know.
It's one thing I hate about my patio. I don't have a nice barbecue area.
Oh,
that's my goal by next year.
Mm-hmm.
I found the contractor that I want if he'll ever call me back.
Yeah.
Guy came over here. He's like, yeah, I'd love to do all this little work here.
Yeah.
There's a 5 a dime, semi-retired guy.
Yeah.
Right. And just wants to just make enough money during the month, so that way he can make his truck payment on his vehicle. Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. Yeah. And trying to get a hold of him. I need to get my patio sturdier.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you would know more than I do, but I mean, even what I've looked at, it's not that bad. You just need to secure it up in some spots. Yeah. I mean, and saying that, I'm not saying that it's bad. It's just, it needs a little TLC.
Needs some TLC and a couple new posts. Yeah, totally.
I've seen way worse, man. Way worse.
Yep. Yep. I hear you there. All right. Don't forget, Sweet Robbie G is in here on Saturday and Sunday night for after hours starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern for some great times with sweets. And you know you love them. I love them too. So make sure that you check it on out. For Tim James and myself, thank you for tuning us in. Big thank you to Forrest Louis with 3, Mel, Richard, Steve, and Gregory for the great super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love. We'll see you next week, everybody, where my Monday guest will be the lovely and talented Katie Page, humanizing the UFO story. We'll see you then, everybody. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.